कुमार स्वामी नायक है गोंगो लिबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Good evening, Fiji. In this bulletin, hard drugs causing chaos in rural areas. Rape victims highlight plight in court. And more seek counselling services.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spate.
The presence of hard drugs such as methamphetamine in rural villages and maritime communities has come as a shock for the Volleyball group. The group that advocates on the social and economic impacts of drugs says the mindset has always been that these drugs are only found in urban centres. However, these are now infiltrating remote areas. Koroi Tandulala reports.
The Volleyball group has been inundated with requests from Fijians in maritime islands and the rural areas to conduct drug awareness campaigns.
The problem is everywhere. In the villages where we thought it wouldn't be there, and it's not just the green that we're talking about. Yes, the ice, the meth, they are actually into our villages now, our rural areas. And the thing is, for them, they do see it, they have seen it, and they just don't know who they can call.
Police Chief of Operation Abdul Khan says they've expanded their rural surveillance to include hard drugs as well.
We are not only looking at green the marijuana, but we are also looking at hard drugs in terms of meth and other drugs that have been circulated. So we've been looking at that as well.
Drug-Free World Fiji, in collaboration with Volleyball Group, is in the second phase of addressing substance abuse by setting up a rehabilitation centre.
Not so much a Western system, because Western system would not fit, wouldn't be suited here. We need to contextualize it to here. And what we need to do is take it back to basics, and that's all it is. After being here and talking with these substance abusers, all they need is the support. All they need is someone to talk to.
Fiji currently does not have a proper system, treatment plans or facilities to address drugs and substance abuse disorders, and the Fiji Police Force with the Fiji Correction Service and other stakeholders have supported the idea of a proper rehabilitation centre. Koroi Tandulala, FBC News.
3 women who were raped and sexually assaulted by Pastor Waisake Tulavu today told the Suva High Court that their personal lives have been ruined as they've been made a mockery of in their communities. 48-year-old Tulavu has been convicted of 4 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault. Pranita Prakash with the details of the sentence hearing.
While holding on to their emotions, the 3 women who became victims of Waisake Tulavu's conniving act told the court how the incident has affected them emotionally and spiritually. Tulavu, who was a pastor at the Agape Healing Church Ministry, affiliated with the Assemblies of God Church, had raped 3 church members aged 22, 29 and 32 in Nasinu in 2018. During the sentence hearing, the first complainant said her family didn't trust her and left her. She said she used to go to church, but after the incident 2 years ago, she hardly attends church. The second victim said she lost all aspects of life emotionally and spiritually. She said she is not able to concentrate on her studies and is being teased by her cousins. The third victim said she is not able to forget the incident. The General Superintendent of the church, Moses Etakau, who was summoned by the High Court judge, said the church does not condone such actions. The cow said Tulavu's action is not the teaching of the church or the institution which he attended. He also sought forgiveness from the 3 victims on behalf of the church. Tulavu will be sentenced on Friday. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
The majority of offenders released from correctional facilities during the COVID-19 period are facing greater financial difficulties as they continue to be marginalised and not given a second chance. The Fiji Correction Service says the situational prison, which comes after serving a sentence, needs to be eliminated as these offenders are trying to get back on the right track. Kelly Vavala reports.
The authorities from various corrections facilities are calling on the Vanua church leaders and stakeholders to help offenders get accepted in the society.
At times we feel that we have 2 prisons, the physical prisons, which the men and women of the Fiji Correction are many, and the second prison is outside in our society. Some of these offenders, whenever they go back into our society, they are again imprisoned in the second prison, which is the situational prison. Sometimes they are marginalized in the job offer or better living opportunities in our community.
In an effort to campaign on the issue, the Fiji Correction Service will be having its Yellow Ribbon Walk on the 31st of this month. Staff Officer Waisale Songonakalo says the initiative has been approved by the Health Ministry.
We have liaised with the Ministry of Health in terms of our COVID-19 restrictions. So on the day of the walk, we'll be maintaining the COVID restrictions, hand sanitizing, social distancing, and also for the work, instead of working in groups, we'll be staggering the work. So we'll work in groups of 10.
The program provides a sense of belongingness to the inmates that will be released, and it will make them feel as if they can contribute to the economy, and that's the progress that we want.
The annual walk will be held at Albert Park in Suva and aims to campaign on giving inmates a second chance. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
More Fijians are now taking advantage of the counselling services to overcome some of the challenges they face in light of the pandemic. Medical Services Pacific, which provides a range of help, including working to end violence against women and children and improving access to health care. It highlights there is a need for more professional counsellors. Pranita Prakash reports.
While the demand for counselling services was always there, people are now realizing its importance.
What we are seeing because of COVID is case management. So they are accessing counselling, but they are accessing the case management of it, the social work of it. So there's two different things. There's counselling, there's social work. So we are getting a lot of clients who need to seek justice. They have issues with the courts, they have issues with service providers.
The MSP country director says that they are also seeing an increase in sexual assault cases.
The sexual assault, particularly on the underage, 18 and below, the numbers have increased. So on average, we are seeing 4 clients. Now we're looking at 7 to 8 clients per day for the divisions with the combined. That is alarming. And these are children who've been sexually assaulted.
If you're noticing that kind of behavior in the communities, you need to report it to Save the Children. You need to report it to the Child Services Unit.
Medical Services Pacific has a medical and a legal team for counselling. They are looking at hiring more counsellors to meet the demand for their services. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
With over 3,000 vacant chiefly titles across Fiji, the Tauke Affairs Ministry has beefed up its outreach programs, guiding communities in the selection process for these positions. Deputy Secretary Saimoni Waimbuta says this has been a long-standing issue. Waimbuta says the absence of someone in authority at the village level hinders the implementation of development projects by stakeholders. Josiah Nunga has more.
The ministry aims to assist the Vanua in electing its chief and the chiefly installation process in this financial year.
The Tauke Lands and Fisheries Commission are continuing to embark on that. They've just returned last week from Yasawa. They have planned activities throughout this financial year to continue talks with the Vanua and try to ascertain this for traditional titles to be confirmed.
Waimbuta says this activity has been incorporated into the ministry's upcoming roadshow and community awareness sessions.
In the next 2 weeks, we'll be going to Kor. We'll be visiting all the 14 villages on this motive, just to inform them of the importance of traditional leadership and to confirm the traditional title holders.
Matani Tikina of Ndongutuki in Madhuata, Laisiasa Lewambedi, believes these traditional leadership positions need to be filled.
We have a lot of development projects coming up for the betterment of the Tikina members. However, we noted that all these projects are not implemented properly because some villages in the district still don't have chief or traditional leaders.
The ministry roadshow team will now visit villages in Ngau, Batiki and Nairai, guiding them on the installation of the Turangani Matangali, Turangani Abusa and Turangani Vanua. Josiah Nunga, FBC News.
Up ahead, drivers frustrated with illegal taxi operations. An Employers Federation sets up goals to assist members.
मैं टोटली दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
The National Federation Party this afternoon in a statement claimed that Registrar of Political Parties misquoted the information that the party had given him in response to his queries. Mohammed Saneem had earlier stated that out of the 50 transactions, only 6 reflect that they were for cyclone relief efforts in 2017. Party leader Professor Biman Prasad says originally the registrar asked for information about the bank accounts set up for relief and welfare fund payments. Prasad adds they had given him that information in good faith, and the party had explained to the registrar why some relief and welfare fund payments did not come out of that bank account. Prasad says Saneem should have asked for clarification and not hold press conferences making accusations about things he has misunderstood. Meanwhile, the registrar says Prasad has not disputed that the NFP spent only $2,154 for cyclone relief from a fund that had accumulated $22,736.95. Saneem says any other expenses or disclosures that the party may have held from the registrar is irrelevant to the handling of this fund. British High Commissioner to Fiji George Edgar submitted the Fijian British Army Veterans Petition to the United Kingdom's Foreign Affairs Office in London earlier this month. The petition is in regards to the veterans' concerns with the introduction of the UK visa fee policy, which has left the immigration status of Fijian ex-soldiers in the UK in limbo and has been a barrier to their re-entering the forces. Edgar says he will notify the veterans as soon as he receives a response from the Foreign Office.
I have forwarded the letter to my colleagues in the Foreign Office in London, who will ensure that it gets the attention that it needs to have.
Taxi drivers in the Northern Division are frustrated that some operators are providing services outside of their designated base. Legal Base Taxis Chair Mahen Prasad says drivers are paying the stand fees but get deprived of the revenue because of the mischief of other operators. Kritika Kumar reports.
Taxi business in Lambasa has become more competitive, with claims that some drivers are misusing their base letters.
At the moment in Lambasa, what we have seen, some of the taxi permits from Raketi, from Senganga, from Daku, Langalanga, Wainikoro, rural places, Namolikoro, they've been affected. There is no taxis there, and taking sake of getting the permit, base letter from LTA, they are full-time coming in town.
Prasad believes taxi operating out of their designated base leads to traffic congestion.
They occupying this place. That's why it's a very long queue, congestion of traffic. All the public, not only taxi, the private people, they are being affected.
Sujit Sharma says they are facing some difficulties due to the pandemic, and such issues affect their income.
Yes, we know that we are the poor taxi proprietors. We just depend on it. It's a very small business, as I have said.
The Land Transport Authority is warning drivers to operate from their designated base. The authority says permits are issued with several considerations, including traffic congestion and ensuring Fijians have services in their specific local areas. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
The Fiji Commerce and Employers Federation has set out a goal to help its members lead their businesses during these difficult times. The Federation today held its first leadership coaching program at the Holiday Inn in Suva, in which entrepreneurs, team leaders, managers and supervisors took part. Vinina Rakautonga reports the workshop was also aimed at equipping company leaders with the necessary skills to become better.
The pandemic has brought about certain issues and problems in the economy that need to be addressed by equipped leaders, which is the main aim of this workshop.
We have the pandemic in mind when Kitiana Chut rolled out this program because the people now need to pivot, become the leaders that they are recognized as.
Leadership coach Kitiana Chut says these leaders can choose to let the effects of the pandemic destroy them or embrace the situation and learn to deal with it.
They set goals that are so low. So they say, okay, this year we're going to make only 20,000. But having attended this workshop, they have the ability to see that they can attract whatever it is they want.
FCEF Chief Executive Kameli Mbatiweti says there will be other programs to further strengthen the participants' skills and knowledge in times like these.
One thing that we may do is write to the organizations and ask for feedback. So usually the behavioral change happens anything from 6 weeks to about 15 weeks. So we're probably looking at, in 12 weeks' time, write to the organization, have some questionnaires.
The one-day workshop featured 43 participants who have the same interest in implementing positive habits in their business. Benina Rakautonga, FBC News.
Now looking over the seas, a government will be formed within the next few weeks in New Zealand, says Labour leader Jacinda Ardern after her party's landslide election victory. With 64 seats, Labour has the numbers to govern alone, but may not choose to. And Whitney joins us now with the latest in business.
Thanks, Jackie. Coming up in business tonight, farmers learn mushroom cultivation skills. And in growing Fiji, plans to build new market and bus stand in Tavua. Stay with us.
Pula nadang ko aproslan kerse, go erkraki. Do televe on varong na Radio Fiji 1, nandomo ibit.
Radio Fiji 1, nandomo ibit.
A long bean supply in Lautoka says the pandemic has cut his revenue in half. Speaking to FBC News, Atish Chan said despite the demand for long bean in New Zealand being high, the cost of freight has increased. Details with Felipe Nakaso.
Atish Chande is currently supplying to 2 export companies that provide vegetables to the New Zealand market.
Before COVID-19, really good. So we were really prepared for this year, but because of COVID-19, everything has gone down. The price, the amount of kgs long bean they were exporting. So
a kilogram of long beans that were being sold to the exporters used to sell for $7. However, it's now down to around $4. And for Chand, he supplies from 200 to 300 kilograms of long beans annually. The Mbombo supply is now targeting next year as he adapts to the new normal of the pandemic.
we have to be prepared this year, like for the seeds, for the chemicals, for the fertilizers, and the material we use in long bean planting, like the netting, the trimmer line, all those things should be there with you.
Meanwhile, a wholesaler in Nadi has come up with innovative ideas to sell their produce as they continue to feel the effects of the pandemic.
We do value addition, like we've got new products in range, like we're doing taro chips, cassava chips, just to make sure that things don't go into waste.
But Farm Boy is hoping things get back to normal as the revenue has also been badly affected. The two suppliers, however, have stated that they will continue to look at ways of selling the produce to raise income made for their families. Philip Naikaso, FBC News.
A mushroom production workshop was held in Nandi recently aimed at helping improve income, food supply, nutrition and livelihoods of farmers. The training organized by Fiji Crop and Livestock Council was for both new and established farmers, including young people and women. Chief Executive Chiun Valu says the 50 participants were taught the basics of cultivating mushrooms. Amongst them were men and women previously employed in the hospitality, tourism and airline sectors. Downey Valu says follow-up visits to mushroom growers shows that farmers are putting their new knowledge into practice. Similar training sessions will be organized in other divisions. We now join Sinifa from HFC Bank with the latest from the money market.
Let's review the South Pacific Stock Exchange market action last week. The total market value of all listed entities increased 2.02% over the week and concluded at $3.41 billion. This resulted from share price increases for stocks such as Fiji Care Insurance, Fiji Television, Paradise Beverages and Fijian Holdings. Moreover, a general increase in trading was recorded with 50 transactions involving about 160,000 shares valued around $157,000. On the foreign exchange front, the US dollar is steady following a 0.7% rise last week due to a global surge in coronavirus cases and the fading prospects of any fiscal stimulus beforehand. Meanwhile, the risk-sensitive Aussie and Kiwi dollars edged higher on expectations that data due today shows strong growth in China and on faint hopes that Democrats and the White House can agree on a new spending program.
That's a wrap from all our local stock market and from HFC Bank, Vinaka.
Here today's local exchange rates as set early this morning. The Fiji dollar was on set high in relation to the US greenback, the Australian dollar and the PNG kina, but slipped against some other currencies such as the Chinese yuan and the Kiwi dollar. On the commodities market, oil rose a few cents to just over $41 a barrel. Gold dropped slightly to $1,904 per ounce, and silver closed up at $24.29 per ounce. The Tavua Town Council has plans to build a new market and bus stand for the benefit of its ratepayers and visitors. Local Government Minister Pramila Kumar says the council is also working on upgrading the Heritage and Children's Park. Kumar says Tavua has 287 ratepayers, while the Tavua district population is 23,000. The Tavua Town Council, in conjunction with Raki Raki Town Council, has celebrated Fiji's 50th year of independence by honoring those individuals who have invested in their local communities.
I'm really excited to work with this group of people who have got such great ideas to develop Tavua further.
And that's it from Business Tonight. We now join Koroi with the latest in sports.
Thanks, Whitney. Good evening. Ahead in sports. Vodafone Vanua Cup final to be held at Lawanga Park. And Cricket Fiji Association Challenge begins today. This and more coming up.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
The Vodafone Vanua Cup final between Rewa and Northland will be held at Lawanga Park in Singatoka on Saturday. Winning the semi-finals last week promoted Rewa and Northland to the 2021 Skipper Cup competition, which means two current Skipper Cup teams will be relegated. Fiji Rugby Union Chief Executive John O'Connor has confirmed Yasawa is the first team from the competition to be relegated to the Vanua Championship next year. O'Connor adds there are plans to host the Under-19 and Women's Finals at Lawanga Park as well.
It's expected to be a big game. We also have the finals for the Under-19 and the women. The game is scheduled to take place in Dr. Dambo in Lawanga Park. We're just confirming the arrangements at the moment. And we're expecting an exciting game between the two teams that were in the same pool that have made their way to the finals.
New Zealand hit back with a convincing 27-7 victory over Australia in the second Bledisloe Cup test at Eden Park in Auckland yesterday. The All Black had a 10-7 lead in the first half with tries from Jody Barrett, Adi Savea and Sam Kane adding to the hosts' win. The lone try from Australia was scored by Fiji-born winger Marika Korimbete. 12 associations from around the country will be competing over the next 2 weeks in the inaugural Cricket Fiji Association Challenge. The tournament began today at Albert Park in Suva and will see some of the best teams from around the country compete to be the first winner of the Association Cup. Karaleni Tavi with the details.
Cricket Fiji Chief Executive Alex Conrote believes the competition will intensify over the next couple of days.
They've all come very well prepared. So right now it's still very open. Even though Suva and more they have on paper the best teams, anything can happen this week.
Team Oniata will be out to make their mark in the competition.
We formed our club in 2011 and have yet to win any cricket tournament. We are hoping that the Association Cup will be the first.
Oniata coach Lepani Soni Angona says he has selected some of Oniata's best cricketers for the 2-week tournament.
The players that have been selected for the tournament will have to be fit and well-rounded. The players must be able to handle the pressure.
The winner of the Association Challenge Cup will host the challenge next year. Karleni Tavi, FBC Sports.
The Lakemba Volleyball Association is ready to host its first club competition in Suva on Friday. The 2-day tournament will be held at the National Netball Centre. Karleni Tavi again with the story.
powerful hit there from
A lot of teams have shown their interest in the event, but only the best 24 will be selected.
Only the first 24 for men's team, and only the first 16 for the women's team. Rebels is in the team. He already booked his place also. Their place also. So I'm so grateful that those who are the best teams here in Suva are already booking their seats or their places to play in the tournament.
The Lekamba volleyball team is participating in Suva for the first time and will be out to gain more exposure.
It is a big boost to the youths of Lekamba in regards to volleyball, and we all know that through the hardships that they're going through as fishermen and also farmers. So
the Fiji Volleyball Federation is still emphasizing the need to have grassroots development.
One of the new requirements now to be affiliated to Fiji Volleyball, you must have an under-17, under-19 team. I always say this and I say it again, to be able to get good fruits, you must look after your roots. So the root development or the grassroots development start with these two age range.
The winners of the tournament will walk away with $1,500 for the men's and $1,000 for the women's championship. Karleni Tavi, FBC Sports.
Punjab's Stingray captain Ali Singhalo knows booking a spot in the final 12-member Fiji Pulse squad will not be easy. The 24-year-old is gunning for the centre position, which is also being contested by veteran Paul Vaiti Wangatambu.
For me personally, Vaiti is a very hard competitor. It's very hard to get around her, but I have to be in a positive mind and bring out my A game.
Despite having lost their first game to the Digicel Flames last Saturday in the Digicel Punjab's 2020 Netball Reset Championship, Gallo and her teammates are hopeful they can join the Pulse extended squad. West Ham came back from 3 goals down with under 10 minutes to go to rescue a point in an astonishing comeback against Tottenham in the English Premier League today. The result sees Spurs remain in 6th place, while West Ham move up 2 places into 8th. That's it from sports tonight. And in the world of the weird and the wonderful, take a look at how leftover bread is being used to make beer. Details after the break.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
Generally fine conditions prevailed over most parts of the country today. A quick look at the weather map. In the west, it was a breezy morning followed by partial sunshine and showers in spots. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, intervals of clouds and sunshine with a couple of soaking showers. And up north, partly sunny and pleasant conditions. At sea, moderate to fresh southeast winds, gusty at times, moderate to rough seas. And turning to the tides, the next high tide is at 8:21 p.m. with low tide at 2:46 tomorrow morning. Sunrise is at 5:34. Now for tomorrow, expect cloudy periods with brief showers over the southern and eastern parts and the interior of the larger islands, mainly fine weather elsewhere. And our further outlook, we're looking on to Tuesday. Expect much of the similar conditions. And in Fiji Pulse, we asked, are you still observing COVID-19 related hygiene practices?
Yes, still practicing just to keep myself healthy and...
Yes, me and my family are still practicing hand hygiene at home and we think it is very important.
We hear that Fiji is 100% COVID-free. We now very less using hygiene because we are pretty sure that our country is virus-free.
I think it's very important since we shouldn't take this matter lightly.
Recapping the main stories for tonight, hard drugs causing chaos in rural areas. Rape victims highlight plight in court and more seek counselling services. Now for these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Our poll question last week we had asked, do you think Fijians have shown resilience in the face of COVID-19? Almost 70% answered yes. And this week we're asking, should curfew remain for the rest of the year? Visit our FBC website to answer. And on to our shot of the day, first one for the week, and the picture was taken in Namaka. A beautiful dawn captured by Sina Malima from Nandi. And be sure to send us newsworthy pictures to email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj, via Facebook page FBC News and our Twitter page at FBC_news. That's your news for tonight. Until tomorrow, from the team and I, stay safe. Bye for now.
Baik tu Dedi mereka tahu, रेडियो फिजी बहुत रेडियो फिजी रोज सुनता हूँ।
रेडियो फिजी 2 देश की धड़कन।